This is the Other What podcast.
The other what?
The other what?
The other what? The other what?
So, hey everybody, thanks for joining us for the second episode of The Other What. And what we're going to talk about today is really like lesbian labels. And we're going to talk about, because there are so many new ones out there since Désirée and I came out. Like, we don't even know where to start. And so we're going to talk about ourselves, how we identify, but we're also going to go through this list that I found on just a quick Google search at, onceupon.ajrny.com. Anyways, it's 27 types of lesbians. Which type of lesbian are you?
27.
The fact that there's 27 is insane. I don't even know. And
you could be a different lesbian every day for almost a whole month.
You could. You totally could. You could just like change. You could change yourself like
what
every
a challenge
time.
That would be.
I know. It would be really
month
hard.
of December.
I wonder if also like people like start as one and they change into others. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I think that we're going to start with like, so Désirée, I'm gonna pose it to you. Ask you a question, like from a lesbian label kind of perspective. How do you label yourself?
Oh wow! I feel like I've been so many different versions of a lesbian, and I say that because when I first came out, I was very, very femme. Even though I was a tomboy growing up, but when I like decided this is how I want to live my life, it's more comfortable for me. The easiest was to just kind of just be super femme, which is fun, but it's also challenging because then you run into this, you're too pretty to be gay, or people don't know that you're gay because they think you're straight because you look very feminine. And friends and I, at one point in the late 90s, we would have T-shirts that were like no studs because we were like, why do we want a girl that looks like a boy? Like, that's not what we're into. And then fast forward maybe 3 years after that T-shirt incident, I started to identify as like this versatile soft stud. Like, I felt like I was doing a lot more modeling then for Girls Unite, which was a Black organization here in Atlanta that was super kick-ass in the late 90s, early 2000s. We threw parties all the time here in Atlanta, but then also did parties in other parts of the U.S. I started to enjoy kind of the more masculine look. So that would maybe even be like a suit and a tie, or even just a nice shirt and jeans. And I liked it because I felt like it felt more me, and I felt sexier dressed like that. And maybe it was also because women started to pay more attention because they're like, oh, okay, she's definitely gay. Like, I know that she is gay. So it was just so much fun just kind of exploring like who I really feel like I am. And even now, like at almost 45, I'm still way more comfortable in this role of kind of this more masculine role. I can still put on makeup and wear a dress and put on heels, and just, I feel like I'm in character then, almost like doing drag. Like, my whole personality, the way I walk and carry myself, that changes completely when I'm like dressed like super femme.
Wow.
Yeah. I am in character when I am dressed like that.
Wow, it's like Halloween.
Yeah.
It's like you're putting on a costume.
Yeah, it really. And I play into it. Like, she's a handful when she's femme. She is a handful.
I cannot wait to meet Femme Désirée because I have not met her yet. We need to have that. We need to have like a night where we like meet Femme Désirée. I cannot wait to see this. Cannot wait. She's high maintenance. It sounds like total high maintenance. She's
very high maintenance. And you can't afford her. Only I can afford her. And that's still a struggle for me. And
so here's what's funny. I'm looking at this website, and we're going to put the link in the show notes. I looked up stud lesbian. It's number 26 on the list.
Okay.
And it says, arguably, studs are more fashionable than butch lesbians, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But the lesbian identity stud was reserved explicitly for Black lesbians.
Mm-hmm.
I
can
would
see
love
that.
to get your comment on that.
Yeah, because growing up, when I was, first learning kind of labels, it was like stud and femme in the Black community here in Atlanta. Then when I moved to DC, it was dom, like dominant women, and femme. And I honestly did not really hang out with a lot of white lesbians. So I didn't realize that those labels were different until probably like 10 years ago. When I noticed like more masculine presenting women who were not women of color didn't really say they were studs. They were kind of more butch. But yeah, that's really interesting. I wonder why we have this segregation of labels, even though it's the same thing.
Yeah, totally. Because stud to me is kind of like and don't take this the wrong way, but when I think of stud, I also think of like animals. Like that's what they call like bulls.
Yeah.
And like, right? When they're like, it's a very interesting term. And then there's this like word mask, which is if I want to identify as that, I'd probably identify as a masked woman. And I think it's because I hung out with a lot of white people, white queer people, and we didn't use the word stud. Like you're one of the first people I've ever heard identify as stud.
Wow.
And I think it's absolutely crazy. It's like it's about who we like really grew up with when we came out, right? You grew up with queer Black community. I grew up with more of the queer white community. And there are different terms. And I think that when you look at these 27 types of lesbians too, I think you can categorize the white labels or maybe the non-Black labels. I'll say that. And then the Black labels there could be. And I don't think there's a lot. I think it's written, no offense, it's written by a white woman. And I wonder if we found one that was written by a Black person, it would actually be a little bit more diverse. I have no idea.
Well, I knew this list had to be written by a white lesbian because this cottagecore lesbian.
I know. What is that? I don't even know. I have no idea what that is.
That makes me think of like one of those old time movies where there's all this longing, but nothing ever happens. There's like all these just looks and nobody does anything, but they're longingly looking at each other in their like Gilded Age kind of outfit.
Right. And that doesn't happen with like two Black ladies. They're like, we're getting it on and we're going to do something about this right now. Fuck this. Right?
Oh my God.
None of this longing that's there, right?
Oh my God.
The hippie vegan lesbians, like, oh my God, it's all like, I don't know. It is so weird. This list is so weird. So let's go through some of these that like,
okay.
Because for me too, like I identify as masked. And then when I started trying to go through this list, I was like, I'm kind of that, but I'm not really that. I'm kind of that, but I'm not really that. And I think it's weird that they found 27 types, but we all have different parts of this in us, right? Like we can't identify immediately with one of the 27. I kind of don't agree with the way that they tried to label. They try to categorize. And again, I think it goes back to the way that people try to categorize you. Are you Black? Are you Hispanic? Are you Indian? Are you Middle Eastern? You can't do that with lesbians either. I think that's unfair. Anyways,
I love the power lesbian. I feel like I've got a little bit of power lesbian in me.
You just love it because it's Bette Porter, man.
I was literally talking about to say Bette Porter in that white suit.
That's right.
Season 1. It might even be episode 1 when she's doing the thing in her the art museum. That suit.
I was like,
the power I gotta get that. I gotta be. That is who I want to be.
Yes, totally. So like, what's interesting on this list is I don't see anything with like a mask lesbian. Like they talk about masculine in all of these, but there isn't like I'm not butch. Obviously, like I don't know if I identify as stud, but like then I'm like that's why I was like am I a chapstick lesbian?
There's a boy lesbian, number 16.
What is a boy lesbian?
Because a boy lesbian is similar to butch lesbian because masculine gender expression is involved, but butch lesbians have this cool feature where they can look like adults.
Wait a second.
I guess a boy lesbian is like a woman who doesn't look that old.
I mean, my god kids do tell me I look like a teenager.
You do. I think we both look pretty young.
Yeah,
I think that's because we don't have kids. Also, we don't have that
could be it. I think that's really interesting. I've never heard of a boy lesbian. And by the way, for everybody listening, it's BOI lesbian. Never heard of that before. Okay. I mean, maybe. I have no idea. Okay. I want to talk about the doppelbanger lesbians. Number 13.
I love that
Freaking
name.
Hilarious. I've never heard of this before.
Yeah.
It's a play off of the word doppelganger, which refers to someone, usually a stranger, who looks like you. Doppelbanger describes a couple who look alike. And the straight community uses it too. I don't know. I'd like to talk to some of our straight friends and see if they actually use this word because I'm very skeptical. What?
I've never heard anybody use doppelbanger.
Never.
But I've been accused twice of being in a doppelbanger relationship.
Where you look exactly like your partner?
Yeah. Yep. One partner, we were the same age. I think we were 26 at the time, but they thought that I was her mother because she was so much smaller than me. And I'm pretty short. I'm 5'1.5". So she's like 4'10". But I had to take her to the doctor, and they were like, "Are you her mother?" I was like, "No, we're the same age."
Oh my God, that's crazy. So I primarily, I only date white women. We will talk about that later. Desiree's, we've had this conversation. I
love you no matter what.
I know. Thank you for that. Yeah. I just have, they are my kryptonite, these freaking white ladies. So I dated a woman who is 8 years older than me. And we would, and I was right out of college when we dated and everything. And so we'd go grocery shopping and things. And people would think that she was my mother and she adopted a little Chinese baby.
Oh my God. What a stereotype.
Oh, it was so bad. It was so bad. And we got that all the time.
Oh my God.
It was embarrassing. It was so embarrassing. We're like, no, we sleep together. This is freaky. I swear to God, we're not those kinds of people. But no, we are not like
we are not about that life.
No. So you really like the Hey Mama lesbian. Tell me why that kind of resonated with you.
Oh, I like that one because I feel like that is just something that some women who are like, I just picture like a really earthy woman, like just seeing another woman, one of these women that's like, I just appreciate beauty in women and just might be like, "Hey mama, how you doing?" Like, that's what I envision.
Again, I don't understand why this list keeps on trying to put race in this. Did you see this underneath? It says a Hey Mama lesbian is usually a white masculine lesbian with long hair.
Really?
What?
Not what I envisioned for a Hey Mama. I was seeing a sister with locks and smelled like patchouli oil.
Exactly. I just don't get this. Like, this list is so weird how they used race to like categorize who these lesbians
I also
are.
have not been hit on by a white masculine lesbian. So maybe she would say "Hey Mama" to me.
Do we need to do an experiment and go see if we can get some Hey Mamas? I think we need to test that out. I think that's going to be another episode where we go to like a bar and see if we can like find these Hey Mamas.
Maybe I'll bring out Femme Désirée and see what kind of trouble she can get into.
Oh shit, we should totally do that. Oh my God. What a good experiment. That would be hilarious. I would love to see that.
Oh my God.
I would love to see that. Okay. All right. So
do you have friends that identify as like you said, you never heard like a versatile soft stud before me. Are there any labels that any of your friends have used that you're like, oh, I've never heard anybody use that?
Not that I can think of. I think there's like there's definitely like you were talking about DOMs, remember? We were talking about the DOM thing. We do a lot more when we talk about we talk about tops and bottoms, kind of boys do. We do
Mhm.
that instead of
Mhm.
doing dom and submissive.
Yeah.
We do more tops and bottoms, like, and it's all about like top energy, meaning that more of a power lesbian has top energy.
Mhm.
I would say, right? Like Bette Porter is definitely a top. Definitely.
She's got some BDE, honestly.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And so like, I think that's kind of more of the way that my friends talk about that. And
Mhm.
so, but when we identify, like, I'd never heard of chapstick lesbians until just recently. I didn't know what that was.
That's an old one. I've heard that before.
Really? And I think it's just because I don't really, I you know what? I've seen it on the dating apps. Like when we set up our profiles, they'll ask you if you're a chapstick lesbian. And I was like, what is this? Like, where's my dictionary on the dating app? I needed that. I didn't know what any of these things were. So I never identified as it.
Mhm.
But what's interesting is that when the dating apps I left on, I went to one of them and I am getting a lot of likes from people who are very specific on wanting mask women.
Mhm.
And they're mostly white. And so it's interesting that I wonder if I changed it to stud, if I would get more likes from like African American women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like, I have no idea. I don't know if it is a language thing and a label thing of why why white women seem to like me more than African American do.
It makes me want to like go out and interview people.
Yes, I think we should. I think that's going to be another podcast where we go out and interview people for sure. Hitting the streets for sure. Okay, so that was really fun. I had no idea all this stuff was out there, and I do think it's kind of weird that somebody put this list together. So hey, anybody who's out there, anybody who's listening, if you guys find a better list that we can take a look at that maybe is a little bit more, it's not all over the place and also doesn't have these like weird racial, like only white women with long hair can be this. I think that's so weird. And I think it's very limiting for a lot of us. We can't, and here we are, we're talking about the other what. Me and Désirée, like, we go across like lines all the time. Why do we have lines in this list as being lesbians as well?
That's a good point, Sharon, because I guess I never thought about it that way before. Huh. Look at you, got me in here thinking on my day off.
Look at that.
Yeah. I'm not supposed to be thinking today. I'm on vacation.
You're having fun doing this.
Yeah.
So I think that's, I don't know. I thought it was like super interesting and all these new things. And if there are any other labels that our listeners want us to talk about, I think that would be really fun too. So leave us a message on those labels, because I have heard other acronyms that I can't remember off the top of my head that I have never heard before. And I'm like, where are these people coming up with these? Is there a lesbian urban dictionary that we should know about? Because
Maybe.
I do not know where it exists.
Maybe.
And I would love to get some education on this.
Yeah, there's a one on the list. It said Stone Butch, and that made me think of like maybe early to mid 2000s. There used to be a website that was like Butch Femme something. And it was specifically for people who identified as a Stone Butch and Stone Femme. And I was always so intrigued with that, because I'm like, how much more gay are you than me with this title? Like, what the fuck is a Stone Butch? Like, is that like the epitome of that's the gayest you can present as and be? And so I don't know if those are terms that you heard before. And even like in old books, those are terms that were in, like, to talk about gay and lesbian or lesbian women. I would see like Stone Butch, somebody identifying as a Stone Butch, like old books.
There's a really famous book called Stone Butch Blues. I remember reading it when I was coming out. But do you know the actual definition of a Stone Butch? Oh, okay. I'm going to read it to you because I found it on Wikipedia.
Right.
Okay. So a Stone Butch is a lesbian who displays female butchness or traditional masculinity and who does not allow their genitals to be touched during sexual activity.
No touch. Okay.
Yeah, no
Okay.
touch. So I knew Stone Butch as somebody who's like super masculine and never wants
So we
to
call those
be
touch me
touched
nots.
sexually.
That's what I've known it to be called.
No
touch me nots.
way. Touch me nots. I'd never heard that
Mhm.
before. That's a new one. Oh wow. Okay, yeah. I've never interacted. I've never met somebody who identifies as a touch me
Mhm.
not or a Stone Butch or anything like that. But obviously, like I think a lot of like I think the Stone Butch blues was about being very masculine and then wanting to satisfy the partner and not wanting and having not wanting anything touched on them. And I think it's so fascinating that you thought that Stone Butch was at there was a ranking of the kinds of lesbians you could be. That is
it just
crazy.
sounds like
And that Stone Butch was at the top.
you are the creme de la creme. You can be no gayer or tougher than this.
Wow. Well, the word stone, right? Like
You're
strong
rock, yeah.
and wow. But I don't right now, Desiree, now that you know the definition of it, obviously that's not the same thinking anymore. And like this list of 27, I think it's weird that they also ranked it from 27 to 1. Like, why is number 1 the denim lesbian? Why is that number 1? Why is there a ranking anyways? Yes. Who ordered these is exactly right. It's the weird thing. Because to me, I think a power lesbian, shit, they're top there. I mean, you put the Bette Porter up there, she's always going to be like the top of the list. I didn't even see that her picture was next to it, but immediately when I think power lesbian, I think of Jennifer Beals as Bette Porter. That's right. That's right. I almost wonder if there should be, screw all these other lists of like chapstick, lesbian, everything. Just do an L word categorization list of who you are as a lesbian. And it makes it very concise. Like, are you a Jenny? Are you a Bette? Are you a Tina? Are you a Shane?
I would say for me, I'm a combination of a Bette and a Shane.
Oh, you were definitely a Bette and a Shane. You got the power lesbian and then you got the mojo. That's going to be another episode. Desiree's got mojo, y'all. I'm just going to say.
I try to use my powers for good. I try to only use them for good. It gives a little stray sometimes.
I think I have like Alice goofiness mixed with some Shane masculine, like energies and stuff, which I think is more me. So that's why I think Desiree and I complement each other.
I could totally see you as an Alice. I love that.
She's fun. I like her a lot.
And
she's
Alice
funny.
and Shane were best friends.
Yeah, they do a podcast.
They do.
Maybe one day we'll get on their podcast.
Lesbians Who Tech?
Cool. Yes, I got to see them on stage at Lesbians Who Tech. So cool. And I accidentally sat next to Eileen Shaken in the
accidentally.
I swear to God, accidentally. I was looking for an empty seat and I looked over and there was an empty seat like next to these 3 ladies and I literally made them get up so I could sit next to them because they were on the aisle. And I was like, excuse me, can I sit there? Can you scooch? I totally did that. And I sat down and I looked over. I was like, oh my God, I'm sitting next to Eileen Shaken. And I just sat there so quiet. I was texting my friend the whole time going, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I was like totally starstruck. And then finally I started talking to them and I feel really proud. They were like, so what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm in robotics. And they were like, wow. I was like, I made Eileen Shaken say, wow. I was like, yes.
You're out there impressing these ladies, being a power lesbian.
I was trying to be a power lesbian for a whole hot second, power lesbian. Anyways, it was super fun. It was super fun. All right. Well, that was cool. Thanks for everybody for listening. And we'll come back with the next episode. And please hit us up with comments on our website.
theotherwhat.com.
theotherwhat.com. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for listening.
Love ya.
For more The Other What, check out our other episodes. You can find those at theotherwhat.com. Have comments, thoughts, or reactions to something we said? Be sure to subscribe and comment. The Other What is a production of 559 Labs. The Other What is hosted by Sharon Goh and Désirée Jamerson. This episode was produced and edited by Andrew Marconi. Music by Alexei Anisimov. It was recorded in Atlanta, Georgia. Thanks for listening and be sure to tune in next time.